Everybody, welcome back to the Attack Action Podcast. I'm Blake Morrow. This is the episode 95, the one that's right after Pro Tour. You won't believe what happened this weekend, but you won't have to because we'll tell you every detail as it goes. Zane, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. My name is similar to Zen, so it's good to be Zen this week. Taylor, how are you?
I'm doing great. Hello, Attack Actioneers. Welcome to the Attack Action Podcast. I just had to say that because somebody's going to get mad in the comments if that doesn't happen. Colin, what's up?
Doing great. Shout out to Blake. That was like an 8 out of 10 intro. Forgot our main line, but went with it. And I love the enthusiasm. I'll have some feedback later.
The initiative was strong.
Yeah, exactly. I love the initiative. Whatever. Business talk. Let's go. Here we are. Another Pro Tour has ended, and we're going to discuss it.
Some would say the fourth Pro Tour.
It feels like 4.
I wouldn't, but some might.
It's like the lost episode that we have. Like, there's a lost PT that no one wants to talk about or acknowledge, and that's fine. Like,
I literally forgot about Lille. I don't know why. Also, like, once somebody brought that up, I was like, "Oh, right. Why was that one so forgettable?" Just because like Breyer won nationals and Breyer like was just still kind of going along and won something. Is that why it was?
I legit forgot where this last Pro Tour took place. I was like, where was it again?
Hamburg.
Amsterdam. The World Warriors continue their battle. It's weird that there's only been 5. It feels like so many more things, but here we are.
Can you say technically 7 if you count 2 worlds?
You could, but
those are called worlds, I think.
We call them tier 4 events.
Yeah,
in Gem they're called PTs, and when you win, you get a card that says PT champion. So
that is true.
So you're telling me there's 7 PTs and 7 different heroes that have won? What the heck? This must be the most balanced game ever.
Could be.
We'll get into that later. I want to know / our parasocial relationship with our listeners want to know what's going on in everybody's life. Who would like to start?
Thank you for asking. I have been going through a lot lately. Things are busy. Last time... Oh, God, this was a joke, but now it's not anymore. Shit's been crazy since our last, like, immediately after we recorded our last episode, things were just like, I said life has been life, and life just keeps on life. And it's been a rough time. Had another loss in our family on Jess's side, which was like really tough. And then with the house thing, these people pushed back so hard that we had enough time to be like, do we really want to move this far away? And decided to back out, and their realtor apparently got real pissed off. And ours was like, dude, you pushed so hard on them, and they were just like, well, fuck this. And it was just really funny because it was like, you asked for more money, then we came back with some more money, and then they're like, but we wanted these things, and they're like, okay, you can have that, but we literally won't give you anything else after this, no matter what you find during inspections. I was like, well, that's fucking crazy. I already know there's like significant termite damage, and you're saying you won't give me anything to deal with this shit? We're just like, you know what? What if we like move to Long Beach? we're like, we have some really good friends, and my parents live there, and just like, that sounds actually pretty nice. So we're actually kind of looking at Long Beach now. So shout out to that store that I guess I'm going to have to go to. But I'm still going to try to go to Odyssey when I do go, because it's like by my work. So it's like I'll just boop over there, and then I'll boop home, and it'll be fine. But yeah, it's definitely a change. But I think, we're very stoked on that. So learning and growing. And what else is going on? I don't know. Fuck, man. I did, yeah. I will say, I started listening to Arsenal Pass again. It was all right. Those guys are all right. The last 2 episodes, I was like, okay, I like this. This was like useful information, and I appreciated it for the most part. So that was nice. And the deck building one, I got like a little excited. I was like, maybe I could build a deck.
Yeah.
Maybe I've got it in me. I just need to focus on what Pankaj and Pablo and Tarek all say about doing it, and I'll just do that the first time, and it'll be great.
The 3 Ps: Pankaj, Pablo, and Patel.
And Patel, oh my God. Hell yeah. We just started a whole thing. We'll get a shirt with it. We'll be an Attack Action podcast just with their faces on it.
It's I think this is a great direction for our podcast to just talk about other podcasts.
I haven't listened to a lot lately, and I think that was like part of the reason I was feeling like disconnected from it. Because when I did, I was like, oh, I don't want to listen to what these people say, but I don't know. It was good. It got me kind of like juiced up, and I was like,
it's all the steroids Brendan does.
Look, man, he's yoked. He deserves it.
Just kidding.
It's mostly creatine. But yeah, that's me. Blake, how's it going for you?
Call me Blake Morrow. I've been mowing my lawn so much. It's been insane with all the rain, dude.
Did you have a date and did some manscaping? Is that what this is alluding to?
He did get a haircut.
Did you see Robert Downey Jr. pulled a Starvo and came back from Living Legend?
Yeah, and now he's a villain.
That's crazy. It's something where you're like, is this what people were doing when we were 10 years old? Like, were people being like, I can't believe Harrison Ford's coming back for another Star Wars movie, or he needs another Indiana Jones? Like, I guess that's even my age still, but like,
Blake, will you catch me up on what the fuck you're talking about?
So
some of us don't live in LA.
Well, I was walking down the street and I saw Robert Downey Jr. and I was like, hey man, what's going on? He's like, can't talk. I'm on my way to San Diego to be close to where Brendan Patrick's about to live. And he's like, I got to go there for Comic-Con because I work for Marvel still. And I said, still, didn't you very publicly not work for them for 2 years and win an Oscar instead because you cared about playing actual characters again? And he said, actually, the last 2 movies, I got paid $75 million each, so I will go back and do that again. Literally, there is no amount of money that is less than or more than his care for the arts.
So if
he's going to Iron Man dead.
If I could explain this to 5-year-olds, Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Doctor Doom. He's going to play Doctor Doom in an upcoming movie.
Yeah.
So a different Iron guy.
Basically, yes.
Literally, instead of Iron Man, he could be Iron Face, but because he's bad and has a degree, he is Doctor Doom.
What the fuck? Isn't that's wild.
And I know. There's been some speculation of like, oh, it's probably Cillian Murphy or something. And then it wasn't. It was like, why don't we just do this again? And they all came out in suits, like 15 Doctor Dooms, because he makes like clones of himself sometimes. Like I've seen that in like all of his properties that he's shown up. Like he does that on the card game Marvel Snap. They're called Doombots, and
Doombits.
One of them takes their mask off, and everyone's like, "Are you ready to see who it is?" And then it was Robert Downey Jr., and everyone was like, "What?"
Kind of like the keynote at Pro Tour where everybody was kind of clapping.
No, they were hype, dude.
Oh,
No,
they
yeah,
were really psyched.
were,
They
yeah.
died out of excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly.
Okay.
They're like,
What was this all about?
we
That's
had
how
a pro
Blake's
tour
doing.
this past weekend. This is the 5th one. We switched last names, and
Wait, why did you
Hobbies.
mow your lawn, Blake? What was happening? What's going on in your life, not Robert Downey Jr.'s life?
because I'm Blake Morrow, get it? I'm
Okay.
doing your bit thing or whatever. Like,
Oh, got it.
He's stealing your identity, I think. It's either that or
Yeah.
cyberbullying.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
or I'm pulling a Robert Downey Jr. and not being Blake, but being the antithesis, which would be Taylor, because usually we're kitty corner from each other in here.
That's why I put you guys there. So
Sweet.
that you can cancel each other out.
It would
If
be
it
a
was
zero
a math
instead of a
equation.
negative. Yeah.
Honestly, the Amsterdam time zone really did wonders on my weekend of like staying up to watch the first game, ruined my schedule, like then watching like I don't know what this says about me or what's going on, but I fell asleep trying to watch the Missouri new game 3 separate times, and I was like into it and being like, this is cool, and then still like undefeated by how hot my room is or whatever. Like I was like nodding away at the desk and like, oh, I'll just lay down and like watch it there, and like they're hour-long games, and I think I fell asleep when they were at like 26 health, 10 health, and then it was like somebody won. I was like, what? Oh shit. Rewind, fall asleep again. It was like, I don't know. It was very hot this weekend too, where it was like, do not move or you will immediately sweat. So
Tough.
That's what the weather said. It said, do not move.
but it was
But
cool.
if you do
It was
sweat.
cool. I don't know if we're going to talk about Fab later, but it was cool to watch all that stuff this weekend.
He probably won't. If there's enough time, we will. Taylor, how are you? What's going on?
I'm awesome.
All right, how do I remove you again?
Things are great. So this is maybe a long story, but maybe not Blake long story. So now your expectations are set. For the last 5 years, me and my wife have been trying to put on a miniature music festival at our house. So finally, this year, we made it happen. And it was awesome. Called it the Wrigley Rumpus, the first annual, which was amazing. Tons of friends came over. We had a friend DJ, and I barbecued everybody's food, and there was face painting and flower crowns, and somebody brought a keg, which I'm still drinking some of the cider from that keg. And today's Monday, and this happened on Saturday, and it was just a fucking awesome time. So it worked, and it was great, and I had a great time. I had a great time at Armory then on Sunday. Okay, this was the best part about the event is it started in the afternoon. People showed up, blah, blah, blah. People were partying. Some people left, and then it was like getting dark. And there's this pivotal moment where I'm like, I could make a fire in our outdoor fire pit and prolong this hang. Or I could just sit here because I'm fucking tired and not make a fire, and then people will eventually just leave because it's too dark. And crossed my fingers that no intrepid person was like gonna make a fire in the fire pit on their own. And they didn't, and everybody left at 10 p.m. and it was fucking awesome. And there were no dishes really to speak of, maybe 5. And I was in bed by like 11:30. Took 10 minutes to clean up after the party. Amazing. And nobody really camped, because it's a camp out, so you can get drunk in the middle of nowhere and not have to drive. And then we had nobody to entertain the next day. So it was like perfect. It's a perfect party. And
It's like
I
the
recommend.
country version of turning on the ugly lights at a bar. It makes
Oh,
everyone
yeah,
leave.
yeah.
You're just like, well, just let the
Yeah.
lights go away. And they're like, well, fuck,
Yeah.
I can't see, so I
I
gotta
can't
go.
see anything. There's no street lights out here. It's a freaking country. So yeah, that
What was
happened.
that
And
sound?
that was amazing and super fun. And then they just redid the gym floor at my school, and we played basketball this morning, me and the kiddos, and we had a great time. Showed them what's up, and we all realized that we should run around more. So we're going
Dunking
to play
for
basketball.
3.
Dunked for 3. Yeah, it was great.
Hell yeah. That's
So
awesome.
that's what's going on. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Did you feel the earthquake today?
No, thank God.
Was there one up there?
I don't think so.
Oh,
No, I
was
just
there one
wondered if
down
you-
here?
Felt the one from LA. Yeah, it was Barstow or something, 4.9, 4.7.
When was that? Fuck.
It's like 11:30.
In the morning?
Yeah.
She?
8 hours ago or so.
I didn't feel it. Zane, did you feel it? Oh shit.
Yeah, I did. It was crazy.
For those not watching the video podcast, Zane is having internet troubles and has disappeared, but maybe we'll be back. So that'll be a fun surprise for anyone listening. So, don't be jarred or, thinking he's just not talking and we're not talking to him. He's just, sometimes the internet be whack, you know what I'm saying?
He did send me everything he wanted to say. So we said, he said, say what I want to say, but just go, Zane would say this, and whatever I say, he'll be okay with.
Do an impression. You go, oh, I'm Zane, and I think that the Pro Tour meta was very good.
Oh, no. I like Brood. I've always liked Brood. Azalea 15 for Dominate? No, I gotta get first seed. Just to lose in top 8 at AGE again.
I work with spreadsheets and I'm super handsome. And I live in San Diego.
I got a haircut
That was
too.
a good impression.
My name's Zane.
Yeah, so you got to say the name because otherwise, how do we know who you're impersonating?
What's actually my impression is, what's a Wi-Fi extender? I don't know. Maybe if it was a rainbow foil. Got him. Roasted. Boom. He's going to hate to see that one.
We're done roasting Zane because we love Zane and we wish he was here. But he'll be back. Maybe. So look out for that in the future.
Yeah, we'll go, fuck, he's back.
He's back, yes.
Or we'll just do
it
seamless. Who knows?
The greatest fab event this weekend was Zane making it back to the episode.
Totally. Shout outs. Does anybody have any shout outs to any person or persons or things?
I mean, I'll go first if you want me to. Shout outs to the celestial being that is the sun to just pour so much light onto all of the Pro Tour this weekend. Thought that was very fun to have people be like, no, there's literally no way we can get this light off of the main player board. Like there's light coming in from the roof. It's like, did y'all not go there the day before and check this out? Did you not? And day 2, there was a message where it was like, don't worry, we tinted today to make sure there wouldn't be light. It's like, did you guys know what tint was yesterday? Or did you guys, was there a place that was only open on Saturdays at after 5 p.m.?
Dude,
what's going on here, man?
I'd be hard pressed in Europe to find an REI or something that's just got a tent, They got different stores, they don't have just Walmart everywhere you could buy a pop.
They don't have a Sammy's camera in Amsterdam.
But also, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The Angry Star will do that, and
I do love about these non-US convention centers is they do have natural light.
That is true.
As a human being, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But as a fat American sitting in my chair watching this at home, I was like, come on.
Legitimately, though, for our hobby, I have never once been, wow, I really like playing Fab. I just wish there was sunlight pouring all over my body. And there has been a couple times I had to sit outside and I played 2 rounds of an armory with my arm sticking out into the sun. And that 2 hours of getting almost winning a 3-1 with Greiner, I got sunburned so bad on one part of my arm. It's like I'm never playing outside ever again.
The
but
light
Amsterdam,
of Solana,
beautiful place. Everyone, everyone didn't get stuck there right now because of the Olympics. That's another thing where I'm like I'm joking about how LSS does stuff like, oh, there's a national calling or whatever, national championship in calling like the first week of, oh my god. Amsterdam during the Olympics is very close. Okay.
That's true.
Pick a different spot.
And it's like they do plan the Olympics pretty far ahead in advance, so it's not like you couldn't have known that those things.
Why was it so cheap in Amsterdam right now?
Colliding. Yeah.
Colin, shout outs?
I'll shout this out now because I just appreciate it. I really liked Tarek and Gabe's game where they were just so heads up with each other. They were just like, oh, you saw these cards. I'm just going to leave them face up. You know what's in them. Ask me if you want to know what's in them. Like, you don't have to memorize it because you saw it for 2 seconds one time. Like, I don't know. I just appreciated the spirit of it because it's supposed to be open information, and acting like shady and weird about it is unnecessary. And I just was like, cool, they're there, they're tired, they played many games, so like why try to force someone, force that kind of angle shooting on someone by being like, oh, you don't remember what's in my hand. It's like, no, dude, like you saw my hand, you should know what's in my hand, so do that. I thought, and a lot of the top 8, the vibes were good. I thought like Pudding Tam, I love Pudding Tam. He just seems so nice. He's just smiling and like playing and having a good time and wrecking people with Ninja. Just great. So yeah, shout out to those folks who playing and having fun and making it look good.
I was going to talk about the Eric game a little bit later, but since you brought it up, I'll talk about it now. That is the flirtiest game I've ever watched.
Really?
Watch it back, everybody, and Tarek will give Eric some eyes and kind of smirk, and then Eric will look at Tarek and kind of smirk back, and there's some chemistry there.
Eric
They're flirting.
and Tarek are going to be the offshoot of Pablo Patel and
and that's how great Tarek Patel is, because he's in 2 separate circles, Venn diagrams there. So just watch it back with that. No shade thrown at these fellas. They played a great game. And
they're fun to watch.
Everything Colin said is true. But it kind of struck me towards the end of the game. I was like, this is the flirtiest game I've ever seen, which is great. I love that energy.
We love it.
My shout outs. I'm shouting out my local armory, which has been freaking awesome. It is small, but it has been weird for many years. Like at a weird shop with kind of a weird owner. And now we have a great owner.
I was gonna be like, dude, Levi's nice. You'd be nice to Levi.
And
he's listening.
It's turning into something really fun, and I just have enjoyed this whole month and had a great time and made the finals at every armory all month. Only won, but been in all 4. So shouting myself out. Last shout out to Erica Forslov. She was awesome in casting. I don't know if I had really heard her cast before, but I liked how herself she was and not putting on casting, and I think did a great job and would love for them to have more opportunities. Come do US Nats. Or our
great.
local armory.
I think she did Lille. I think she's done the big European and probably Barcelona. I think she's been at the big European ones. But yeah, she does a good job. I generally thought the coverage was pretty good. I also like Roman. Is Roman right? Roman.
Yeah.
I think he's just fun. Or maybe just because he's French. Like I just kind of like him.
Yeah.
But
he is great. Also,
one of the best parts was like him interviewing. God, who was he interviewing? Somebody else who like English was not their first language, and it was just like these guys are working so hard to do this for us in English, and I was just like, I appreciate you so much right now, and it was fun. Speaking of the coverage and and Erica and all of them. I did. Blake and I actually were talking about how like the games are so long, the streams are so long. It's kind of hard to watch everything as like a normal person. Like I can't always just give up my entire weekend watching like 36 hour or not 30.
Yeah.
30. Yeah, actually, I think it was like 32 hours of streams.
Or it's like 21 hours. It's like 3 7.
It was like 2 back-to-back 12-hour days and then like an 8-hour stream.
Yeah.
So it's like 30 hours. And it's just like, I can't do it. And I really wish that someone would make a kind of like top moments of PT. So I did that. I decided to make us our own top moments of Pro Tour Amsterdam. It's the critical pop-off top moments of Amsterdam.
Let's go.
And we're all going to watch it
the
together
change you
right
want
now.
to see in this world.
Are you guys ready?
Yes, chef.
Yes.
Okay. For those listening, hopefully it's good to listen to as well. But we will. I'll probably post this as like a separate video or something afterwards. But you can go on the YouTube and watch. And yeah, let's check this out.
Welcome, my friends, to Pro Tour Amsterdam. I am Brian Gottlieb. I am joined by Pankaj Bhojwani. We are so excited to bring you 3 days of incredible action here from Europe. Pankaj, critically, 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 pop off, critical, pop off, pop off, pop off, pop off, pop off, pop off, critical, critically, pop off, critically, pop off, critical, critically, critical, pop off, critically, critical, pop off, critically, pop off, critical, so critical, critically, critically,
It's like an hour.
Critical juncture, critically.
We're not even halfway.
Critical turn here. Critical turn. Critically, 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 critical, critical.
What is the song in the background?
Pop off, critically, not a 6, critical, critically, critical, critically, pop off, critical, critically, not lethal, pop off, critically, critical, pop off,
Not from the own guy
critical
playing.
pieces of equipment at this juncture, critically, pop off.
I like the emphatic ones. Critical.
Critically,
Put this on YouTube like right now.
pop off, critical, critically, very critically, critical.
This word has now lost all meaning to me.
Critically,
This is the
so
finals.
one final time, signing off here from Pro Tour Amsterdam. Critical.
Let's go.
Jeez. Wow.
Oh my God, my face hurts.
That's why I'm going to make sure when I die, all my money goes to Colin. You're now in my will. That was amazing.
We could stop the episode now. This is literally the best thing we've ever done.
Please upload that right now as we're doing this. And
I'm gonna let it premiere on our episode and then we'll upload
okay.
it. But yeah,
Oh man.
just one of those things, when you're talking a lot on a video or recording, sometimes you overuse a word, and
I feel
I've noticed it so many times where I was just like, it's too funny, and I was like, what if I did this, and I did it, and I laughed so hard.
What if I did it? What if I just fucking nailed that?
I feel reborn. That was like a religious experience.
I'm popping off.
Dude, the shout out to Adobe and their text editing video editing tool, where I just transcribed the whole thing, searched for critical and pop off, and just deleted everything else. and just made it into a video.
Every 5 minutes.
It took a little bit longer than that, but
You
it
downloaded
really-
3 12-hour videos.
yeah, I did.
And
I
it's
did.
Monday.
I did the damn thing. It was good. So hope you all enjoyed that. No
all
shade.
sweaty.
It's all in good fun. But yeah, I think
Critically, I think you did a great job popping off there.
my favorite part when he's like, "Pop off, Chris."
Sheesh.
I
Oh,
like
God.
Erica's pop off.
I know. That's what I started hearing. It was like she just kept saying, and then her and Roman were just pop off. And I was like, I got to include this in there too because it'll give us a little back and forth. Critical pop off.
I need a nap.
All right. Well, should we talk about Pro Tour Amsterdam?
Yeah. Now that
Get
we're
in there.
focused.
Let's get in there. Pro Tour Amsterdam. On the internet, people said it was going to be shit and that they didn't like playing and that the meta wasn't good, etc.
What?
And then day one came along and sweet little Chris Iali goes 7-0 and is like, I'm on Prism, bitch. And I'm drafting hella good. I'm playing Illusionist. And I was like, oh shit. This is going to be a sick fucking tournament. This is going to be so cool. And it was. I thought it was great. I mean, a lot of Zen, obviously. And I'm unsure what it's like to play. But as the whole thing unfolded and unraveled and the end result we have, it turned out to be like so awesome and fun and wound up being like a great sports story. And that's in it. I love that shit. I love great sports stories like that, you know? So it was awesome. Shout out to Shoma, who won the whole thing from Japan playing Azuri. Nobody
first
clocked it.
Big event. His first time traveling outside the country, I think they said.
Totally.
Too.
Runner up at Japan Nationals and then goes on to win the Pro Tour. Just like insane. So freaking cool. And if you're Legend Story Studios, you're like, we're so good. Like, look what happened. We give Japan the keys to our car and they just freaking Tokyo drifted it to
Right
first
off a
place
cliff.
over the fucking, to the finish line, you know? And it's like a wonderful story with a wonderful person. You know, they go, I'm so psyched on Flesh and Blood. I'm just going to change my life and open a Flesh and Blood store that for, you know, the game. And then I'm going to win the Pro Tour. And now everybody's coming to my freaking store all the time.
Dude, bet on yourself, you know?
Dude. And there were only
That's
two
why I'm
Azuris.
broke.
2 Azuris in the whole freaking tournament. And they win it. So, like, I think I said this on our last pod. Like, I wanted a dark horse deck to win. And it's just so true that it happened. So great.
Yeah, I think
Oh, you go first, Colin. I'm saying bullshit anyway.
you can follow me up with some bullshit. I think it was really cool to see. I don't pay attention to people on Twitter and all their complaining because all they do is complain, and you know it. Go complain somewhere else. It's tired. It's basic. I don't care. Nobody else does either. So, anyways, it was really fun to see. One, just like, you know, I guess here, I'll bring this up too while we talk because we can talk to the numbers and shit. But day one meta, obviously Miss Vale, very prominent in there. KO is still pretty popular. Great, you know, Prism is loved by all at all times. But yeah, I think it is great to see that because it just highlights the just straight lack of imagination of so many people.
Yeah.
That all they can see is the problem and they're just going to complain about it. And then, you know, one dude's out there being like, well, I'll just do this thing that will make all of these people's lives miserable. Like, and obviously it's not an easy thing to do. Like, it's not easy to like focus on, a kind of an outsider hero like that and determine that it can target
Uzuri is a hero in Outsiders.
all the, supposed top decks that people probably will be bringing. And Uzuri does that really well. And I think everyone's been like so infatuated with Nu as the assassin kind of lead. And so it's kind of forgetting that all of these cards could be really good in our other assassins. And, I think Shoma and Tao Tao, who's the other Uzuri player, right? Like,
Yeah.
they both saw it, although, Tao Tao was a very different deck. Shoma went with this like amazingly aggressive deck that I think just like holy shit, Uzuri is not the same hero that she was a month ago. And like she can do some crazy shit right now. So super cool to see that. Personally, I don't think it's like I don't know, it's like the exception that proves the rule or doesn't. I forget. I don't really understand the rule I'm trying to prove or not, but it still feels like they pushed the fuck out of Mistveil, like way harder than they've pushed anything in a while. And Zen, like seeing just like, oh, okay, well, Zen just does, they have this like one turn where they like use their equipment and do all this crazy fucking shit. And then it's just like, do they not play these decks like before? Like, I don't know. It's like, I kept going back and forth where I was like, I don't know. I wrote this later. It was like when pudding pops off on his critical Zen turn. I'm like, well, that's kind of fun. But then, I know if I was on the other side of it, I'd just be like, are you kidding me? Like, this is what's actually happening right now. This is so gross and annoying. So yeah, it's like, it's a little, I think Uzuri winning is gonna like, people's gonna be their argument of like, oh, well, it's not that bad. And it's like, bro, like one dude having like the best weekend and targeting like this meta in the way he did. And you gotta like, there's the draft portions, there's the gem luck. Like, I'm sure there's probably like if Uzuri hit like 3 Kanos on their way up, like not gonna have a good day, like dunzo. So like there's a big part of that too. But I think it's
like, that's in every tournament, right?
It's in every tournament.
You have to be good enough to capitalize on your good luck.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, and I think, but I do think like it doesn't disprove the fact that the meta's a little
absolutely
wonk, or it's a little whack. So I think, but I don't want that to take away from what he did, because what he did was dope, and watching him play was dope. And you're just like, damn, dude, like it was savage. Some of the way, like that win against Gabe, sure, was just like, okay, and I win the game. You're just like, fuck, dude. That was like the craziest blowout. It was just like, did not see that coming, and I loved it.
It's like he leveled up as the tournament went on. Like, I think I saw him lose to a Nu, and he had surgical sided in, and I was like, ooh, that's a mistake, having played that from an assassin standpoint in a million different iterations. And then he doesn't play it, and his like game against Xing was like so tight and grindy. That was maybe one of the best.
That was the best game out of the top 8.
Top 8, it was like crazy. Like they're both playing around every outcome and finding the one fucking line that's like, okay, this plays around all 5 scenarios. Boom, here it is. And they're like, okay, cool, pass. Just yeah. That game was great. Yeah, and then poor Gabe. Shout out to Gabe, okay? I was going to talk about this later, but we're here now. Gabe, I remember I met Gabe at San Jose Worlds, and he was like a nice dude, up and coming dude. I also don't know if he remembers me, which is fine. But then I follow him on Twitter, And I remember he was kind of dooming on Twitter, like, man, I put in all of this effort. I try really hard and I just don't have any results, even though like I am, I think, playing well, testing well, blah, blah, blah. And then boom, here he is, maybe a year later, unsure of the timeline. I'm sure Gabe knows exactly the timeline.
I'm Gabe. Sure, Gabe knows.
Critical, pop off. Top 4 at the Pro Tour Amsterdam. And I know he's a big Arachne guy now and obviously playing new, but it's just sick to see that. You know, you love to see those types of stories. And he had a dope jacket. So what more can you say? Arachne mains rise up, play a more powerful hero.
Uzuri's going on the other hand.
Yeah, totally. Boom.
I care about your complaints on Twitter. You can send them to me. I'll be the one who is the liaison / person that sifts through them. They're basically on Twitter saying the same thing you're saying, Colin, of did anybody test this? It does feel like are you playing the Bane deck or are you playing something that can beat it? That's kind of how everything exists. Of if you can't stop Steph Curry's 3-pointers, you're probably going to lose. So how do we do that? And it's like, you got to get your own Draymond Green and throw their body into that dude. Like, going to have to
on
injure
the
him.
same team.
I know. And so that's why they've never let him go, because he would be the one who would literally run straight into Steph Curry and ruin his leg for 2 years. So that's why they've never you didn't know that? Kind of close to you too. You should know that. You should like be there.
It's because he's punching all his other teammates.
Yeah. The thought process, though, Uzuri got brand new cards in Mistvale. So we can still say Mistvale's pushed, because you're not going to see a winning Uzuri list unless it has Prognosis, unless it has Bonds of Agony, and Just a Nick. Those 9 cards will always be in there. And that's the kind of power level I'm looking for whenever I'm talking about, oh, my class has some brand new stuff. Like, I hope those are the 9 copies of Majestics that Assassins got if you're not a Mystic level person. So I swear, if Wizard, if they pull the punch on that and they don't have 9 copies that can go into a Kano, or 9 copies of Wizard cards that could be used universally throughout all Wizards from here now on, it'll kind of be like, what the hell are we doing? And like, what are the Ninja cards that were Majestic in this set? There weren't that many for Katsu to kind of feast on. But then what are the Illusion ones? So I think that's something where if I was paying attention and I wrote all this down, that would be cool. I could probably look all this stuff up. But like, Assassin was clearly like, here's some cards that are going to be used in all of your stuff. It's like the best one since Already Dead. Like, the fact that Already Dead kind of got pushed out of Uzuri list is crazy to me, because everyone that was picking up Uzuri, or like, I want to buy all this stuff before new comes out, was probably buying Already Dead for $50 each, and none of them made it into the list at all in either of these heroes. And you're like, that was $150 you're never going to get back. And that, I think that's another thing where, like, I thought this was a really good weekend, but there was a lot of frustration from a lot of different people. And whether it's locally, I can speak at, there's a couple people that are pros talking about it on Twitter. So let's start at the local thing, where it was like, I don't think I can be good enough at this game quick enough. And I bought in a bunch of Misfell, but now that Rosetta is coming out, I don't know if I want to buy in again. It seems like I have to be good at this game to have fun, and it's too hard for me to do that quickly. And I was like, damn, that is a crazy, like, that's what we took from the weekend of like, and these are people that have the Assassin cards or are excited about Assassin. And I was like, damn, that's what we're taking from this, of like, instead of what a celebration and it's really cool, it is kind of like, maybe we're about to be the casual gamers just because we aren't the ones that flew to Amsterdam. Like, I'm about to get real casual, not because I want to, but because the gap is so far that it'd be dumb to think that like you know what? I'm going to focus for the next 8 months and play in Pro Tour next one, Pro Tour 6. I think I could do it in 8 months. And it's like, no, you can't. You're too casual, bruh. Then the pros were kind of like, I think the most visible ones, so you can go look at what we're saying, is the Pheno Black, is the Yuki Lee. And both of them were kind of saying, doesn't feel like we had much agency this weekend. There was the idea of it's a coin flip and I've gotten 6 head flips. So it looks like I'm doing really well, but that's just how the cookie crumbles right now. There were some people saying this felt like this was the first time this wasn't the game I fell in love with, or like the game where every decision point matters. It's basically I'm just waiting for the other opponent to do their stuff. And as somebody, I haven't played as Zen yet. We're getting into the long Blake story right now. I thought the Zen mirrors in the top 8 were actually pretty cool. And like, I didn't know the nuance of that, but I could understand that would be really hella annoying to watch if you had done it 15 times. And like, because I don't know the intricacies of that. And it did feel like, Bartosz? Fuck, I should have practiced. What's his name? Bartosz. He looked like he got ahead and was doing what he needed to do to get ahead. And maybe he drew a Transcend card a little earlier. But in my mind, I was like, oh, it looks like he was playing exactly the way he needed to win. And I don't know if that's what everybody's like, great, you sucker. You don't know that it was literally all luck. But in my mind, I was like, oh, that was really cool. But I can imagine that it's not great.
I think it feels the same even from playing new, you know? Like there's a level of luck involved and drawing the cards in the right order and that sort of thing. Like that's one of the risks, I think, of running Mask of Nightmares. If you don't max out your chi cards, is you're like, well, there's like 5 or 4 or 6 of these, and I might not see one for like 4 turns. And so that's 4 turns where I'm not using this really powerful ability. And then a hand might come up where there's 2 of them in one hand, and you know, I can't block, and now I really can't use these in an effective way, you know, or my hand is all reactions or something like that. You know what I mean? So there's like a level of luck, I think, even with new. I can't speak for Enigma because I don't play that hero, but there's the other side, right? Where you're like, oh, I have Bonds of Agony and 2 Justinics, and I still have like my equipment. And I have this like blue, you know, where you're like, well, sick. Now I'm popping off, you know, I'm critically popping off right now for fucking 15 damage, you know, kind of out of nowhere. And you start at 1, and that can happen too. So it is like my frustration with that hero, that those things are swinging like that. And maybe that's the skill in playing that particular hero, is navigating those situations. But this might be where the game is going, where heroes start to feel like this. You know what I mean? Which I'm like, okay. You know, I don't know though.
And
Yeah,
and
I
like,
think
Go ahead, Colin.
I think that's the fear, and I guess I'll apologize for telling people not to complain. But I think
they just don't
it's
have
one
their
thing.
own
It's like
podcasts.
for people, it's like the people who call themselves pros and spend the time and money doing this. Like, you decided to do this, so like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to go to all these events. You don't have to, if you don't like. Anyways, that's besides my point.
Yeah.
I think the fear is that it's going that way. I think the idea that there just always seems to be a hero that's just like, well, I don't have to care about what you do as your hero against me, except if it's the mirror. And then I know what you're trying to do, and I'm hoping to do it first. And I think that's where it's just like, yeah, there's always going to be luck. Like, this is not a fighting game. Like, you don't just have access to all your move sets at all times. And, it's about waiting for your turn and then taking it and capitalizing on it, and using the different resources at the right times. It is sometimes you literally just draw all the good things in the right order and you win that game. That's part of how TCGs work. That's why they're hard to balance. That's why that's why sometimes they're fun to play, because when you do it, you're like, oh, that was great. This is exactly what I want to do. And,
I'm a god.
and I feel awesome doing it. And that's just the hard part, is like all these things coexist at the same time. And it's, sometimes in your favor and sometimes not. And it can feel rough when it's not. And it kind of feels like it's just beating you over the head with, Zen's tiger stick. But, I think there are parts of the design of this stuff where, like, I think at least Zen is kind of interesting and cool. I think it's unfair that he's both super aggressive and just can combo off. Like, it's like, it's both like just a generically good aggro deck that can also combo off at a crazy level. I think even without the combo, it's probably a hard matchup, because like they don't always hit it, but they can still, muster together a big enough turn that takes all your agency away, and then they just keep pushing that pressure on you because they can do all these things and create different cards and like extend the chain link so far. So I think it's just hard, and I think I've talked about this multiple times. It's like they're gonna keep introducing more and more heroes, so it's gonna get even more kind of muddied in the meta of what is good, what is not, what can counter these things, what are the what's available to these heroes. And I optimistically, I hope that it's going to a point where that turns into like the best part, where it's just like I can really delve into this and like really focus on things, and I don't have to prepare for every single matchup, because it's kind of like everybody's out there. I'm going to make the best version of the deck that I can and play that and have fun doing it. But yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth where I think it's like annoying that they introduce heroes that are just like so much better than everything else. And then, when they introduce heroes that aren't powerful enough, you're kind of like, well, that also sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's like, where's Betsy? Betsy was fun, like, and then it's like even KO is just like not as good anymore. And it's crazy because KO was like such a problem like a couple months ago. So it's just like, is it just going to be every time, it's like the newest thing is powerful, and then the other old powerful stuff is less powerful now, which, like, have they done this in a way where it's like these things are powerful but like can be overpowered without just like scaling up exponentially? Like, it doesn't feel like an exponential level difference. It's just like it maths better right now than other shit, and that's I don't know.
A couple of thoughts before we let Blake critically pop off. I think this particular meta feels it's so different compared to coming off the back and being juxtaposed against heavy hitters, where you're like, it's pretty wide open. Even though there's some clearly these best decks, you could make a game plan to like fight against them. You know what I mean? And that was like a really great time, I like think about it all the time. Actually, I'm like, man, I just wish there was that meta a little bit more and I could just fucking do just fine on Arachne. That is kind of where I would like to be rather than just getting my ass whooped against new. But what am I trying to say? The other thing I think, Colin, is you were kind of talking about like a place to play all of your decks and things are viable everywhere potentially. That might kind of be what the Living Legend format can be. I mean, I don't think it'll ever be truly that, but because some of those heroes in there are just so fundamentally broken. But we also kind of get this I don't have anything more to say about LL, especially because Blake gave me the thumbs down, which is fine. Look, he's hiding. He's
He's interviewing you now.
he's conserving his power before he critically pops off. Last thing I will say though is I think the game feels not bad, but off when they miss things like, oh, right, Bonds of Ancestry is maybe too strong in Zen, like those are the times when we've been disgruntled, I think, as a community or maybe as a podcast. And some of those times are like intentional. Like I think they just needed to get Lexi out. And part of the disgruntled part was that we had to have Lexi for like way too long. And I think it was that. And Lexi was actually just kind of like, okay, Zen feels very Lexi-esque. Anyway, I will just be then Blake, long story rambling now. Blake, you pop off, King.
A couple things. There's an actual thought process to finish earlier of the assassins got 9 copies of cards that are going to fit in all 3 of them, which are the 3 Justinic, the 3 Bonds of Agony, and the 3 Prognosis. Those are so good for all 3 of those. To finish the thought, Ninja's got the Chase the Tail, Territorial Domain, and Maul. And literally, maybe you put 3 of those if you're on Tigers, but there's no reason to play any of those 9 copies in Katsu right now. To
Or
finish
Fi.
the other thought, or Fi. Fi is so forgotten. I forgot about Fi. Holy crap. So none of those were for either of those other 2 characters. End of story. And now the illusionist side is Restless Coalescence, the 10,000 Year Reunion, and the Rage Spectre. And 2 of those are really good. And the hero that came out with them right now, how many of those copies would fit into Dromite? Absolutely none. That is not how that hero works. It doesn't even make sense of like, I don't want Dromite to get hit to Restless Coalescence. It would be pointless. And then Rage Spectre doesn't work unless you're using a weapon that isn't completely gassing you up for either your dragons or your heralds. So Rage Spectre is not in for any of those. 10,000 Year Reunion, for sure not either. So what I'm trying to say with this is I don't know if I really like that part of the design because Wizards have been starved for cards. Whenever I realized there was only 2 Majestics printed in a whole calendar year for Wizard, and neither of them were really played at all. It was Aether Arc and Contest the Minefield. It's like, okay, we got a better Zap, maybe. I hope they put some good cards in Rosetta for those Wizards so we don't have this layer again of like, oh, it would be cool if this was better, or like instead of it's just one class of Runeblade and Wizard, the old cards will come back because like Viserai with the new Runeblade stuff is so good. Vincent with the new Runeblade stuff is so good. And then it's kind of polarizing because we have 4 different Runeblades you have to do with because there's a Swarming Gloomveil type effect or there's a Revel in Runeblade that now those decks are so jam-packed full of those threats where you're like, holy crap. Because I think the other layer of this, and this is the final layer of this point, is I was talking to some people about Bright Lights, and it honestly feels like Bright Lights is a mastery pack. That is a thing of Mastery Pack Guardian that is going to come out in April. Try and think of Bright Lights as it was a mastery pack. If we had put the supercells in, if we had put all the AB equipment in, but like we did not have a card that was strong enough for like Dash to get out of here and Living Legend finally. And like, yes, there was the boost card, but like I think they probably pulled the punch a little bit and didn't have Twin Drive and something else, and so because the Majestics and Bright Lights still haven't really set any of those heroes apart. There was nothing to do with Moonsault. They're like, yes, Tekla has his, exactly. We don't even remember what the cards are called. I'm obsessed with this game. I've spent more than thousands of dollars on this. I don't remember the name of the card because I've never had Moonsault played against me in my entire life or whatever.
Moonshot.
And like, is it Moonsault? Okay. And like, I just want the new cards to like benefit everyone directly instead of like, is that a testament to how well the assassin class is designed technically, or is it a testament to how bad none of the ninja stuff goes together at all, none of the warrior stuff goes together at all, none of the brute stuff goes together at all, none of the guardian stuff goes together at all, because all of those are so far apart that like literally the only time a new hero came out that benefited an old hero just as much was Uzuri winning the Pro Tour right now. And we're going to go, oh shit, you guys just need to not, you guys need to like try harder because Shoma's the only person in the whole field that like tried hard. And you're like, okay, like that is one way you can take it. That was long. I don't know if that mattered at all.
So I was right. He was the only one who did a good job.
Shoma's the only one out of 467 people.
There's also a level of like, well, I kind of want to play a new hero. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I don't want to play Bravo for 5 years. I'm not a psychopath. Like, get me out of
at
here.
the Pro Tour, you know, you're like, you know, I don't know. These heroes obviously are really good. They just came out. They're shiny. Let's play one of those. You know what I mean? So I think it's tough after these events that we have no more real classic constructed stuff going on that matters. You know what I mean? In quotation matters, because it would be interesting to see then how it continues to evolve. Like how much more prevalent is Uzuri? Does that open spots for other decks as it beats down, you know, the current meta, etc.? Like those things I think are important, but that like we just won't really get to explore, and then Rosetta will be out and it'll be a whole thing. I don't know how that set is not going to break the game in my opinion.
I think it'll be severely underpowered.
You think so?
Yeah.
We'll go back into a valley. That would be weird.
I think they're too afraid to print anything that'll make Kano dominant.
Bro, it's already happening. Alexander Vor.
Just get Kano out of here by printing the good wizard card. We'll live in that meta for 3 months, and then we can go on instead of the constant threat of it.
It's weird that they make that, you know, they play both sides of that, where they're like, oh, well, you know, we're just going to help this hero leave. But then, you know, Greiner, they won't give anything good to, whatever. I think I like the interesting thing about what Blake was saying, and maybe I'm latching on to the wrong part of it, but I think it's really cool that there's this assassin pool that can mean something different to these different heroes. Like they're powerful in each of the different heroes in kind of different ways, and they kind of showcase different abilities of those heroes. I feel like, you know, it's like looking at heavy hitters. It's like, I don't know how many of those Guardian, Warrior, and Brute cards made it into any decks of Guardians and Warriors and Brutes that existed before heavy hitters. Like, you know, it's like everything's geared so tightly to those heroes, even when they're like non-talented heroes, that it's very kind of stifling to the development and growth of those heroes. Like, I think we're getting to a point where we have multiple heroes in different classes. Like, it's cool if new cards help old heroes be good too. Like, it doesn't just, like, it's not a bad thing if all of a sudden, like, you know, after heavy hitters, Bravo's like pretty fucking good because, you know, Bravo's pretty close to the living legend. So, like, if he's really good, he'll just like pop off and hit living legend. And I think the fact that, you know, Shoma was able to find a deck, but that the thing is, it's not like he was looking for a deck to do this. He plays Uzuri, like that's his hero, as far as I understand. Like, he likes to play Uzuri, so he played Uzuri, and he built a deck that was, you know, meant to target what the meta was. So again, we have like a specialist who does really well when the, you know, the moment comes. I think we've seen this a number of times with different heroes and events, and that's always going to be a cool story. It's going to outshine the meta woes and people, you know, complaining about that. But I don't. Yeah, I hope that we can get to a point where, like, if we're pushing heroes, like, let's push classes and not heroes,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so that there's more diversity, because
Yeah.
then you're spreading it out. If all assassins are now pretty good, that's gonna you know, people are gonna pick their favorite assassin. They're all very different, so they can be targeted differently, and, you know, they're not all gonna be doing the same exact game plan. So I think, you know, there's going to be more interesting stuff that comes out of that than there would be just like, oh, well, the 3 Misfell heroes are very good, and so
Yeah. Yep.
we'll just latch onto those.
I think that is maybe one of the best things our podcast has said in the last 5 episodes, because I posted about this the Sunday or whatever in the Discord, when I was like, you know, the other day I played New, the other day before that I was playing Arachne, and then I played Azuri, and I was like, man, dude, I am fucking in hog heaven right now. I'm just like making all kinds of assassin decks that have a slightly different flavor, and we're just cooking about, and I get to use basically, you know, those 9 Majestics as a miniature backbone to all of those decks, and that's like awesome. It feels so good and is so fun, and I can't believe it took me so long to make that realization that I should have been brewdogging with all of my favorite class, which is great. It makes it so you're like, you know, class specialist rather than a hero specialist, you know? And like you said, Colin, like, what's Olympia doing with the warrior stuff? What's Bolton doing with that warrior stuff? You know, nobody is as synergized up.
What's interesting, and like, I understand every class has bad Majestics, but I do think it's worth, like, why did we have those really bad Dynasty Runeblade Majestics? We had really bad Dynasty Illusionist Majestics. We had some really bad Majestics that don't fit into every part of the class. And I think that's what I would say. I could shut up and not be critical if we had a set where it was like, not only does it make sense for these earth and lightning cards to go with these heroes, but the wizard cards fit into Kano's thing. They fit. Verdance can use it just as well as Kano can use it, and just as well as Ocilio could use it, but they prefer something else. Or it's even better in Ocilio because he can Thunderstep Mountain. And I know that seems very hard, but I think that's the level that I want from my game design moving forward, is the Justinic, Prognosis, and Bonds of Ancestry. Like, they're literally 0-for-1 attacks. Like, why is a 0-for-1 attack good in this? It's because Disruption's so powerful, and now the assassin class can actually be the disruption class, instead of only one of our heroes is actually bonkers at it. Like, yes, New is even better at it because of Siren's Call, and can go wider because of Hiss, but all that stuff is good enough for those other two heroes as well. Because if I'm gonna get my brute shit out, so brute stuff, Majestics in heavy hitters was Cast Bones, Reckless Charge. Then we have Runner, Sin Packing, and Talk a Big Game. And so what are we talking about? We're talking about Sin Packing is going to be 3 copies in every brute card ever. I just want multiple options like that. Reckless Charge didn't even make it into KO, and it has his name on it. And Cast Bones is only for one of those 3 heroes, and then everyone pretty much 15 minutes later was like, this is not the best build of this. I feel like that's almost on the same level of, oh, we had no idea Bonds of the other one, Bonds of Ancestry. We had no idea Bonds of Ancestry was so good. I think that's another one of, we had no idea that Cast Bones wouldn't, the best list for KO wouldn't have Cast Bones in it. Let's do this for other classes so we can know this stuff. Let's do Runeblade because it's coming out, and then I'll be done with this stuff. Runeblade Majestics have been absolute trash since we got Everfest because they were so good before that. Of Cryptic Crossing, Diabolic Ultimatum, then you have Looming Doom, and those were a trio of like, are you going to use any of these? Also, back in the day, like there's a new Sonata Galaxia, which has very small use case of legitimately it only is like 1 or 2 things we can use for that. I don't know if that'll be that's part of the turtle up with Florian.
Runic
But
Reckoning.
Runic Reckoning, that was another one. Was like,
That's used quite a bit, right?
I don't know.
It's a non-attack that costs less.
Costs 1 less to play for each rune count you control. The next Runeblade attack action card you play this turn gets +3. So it's just a 0 for 3 buff. Yeah,
it's good. I think Vincent plays it and stuff.
I think the best number on it is that it blocks for 3. I think that's what's... Yeah. Is that sexy enough to sell cards or not? But
in Runeblade, it is.
Yeah. It is an interesting thing. I think they might overcorrect sometimes for what they're doing, but they're trying to thread a needle, like it's, you can either ignore it and just push everything up, and then the power level of the game ceiling just keeps going up, and then it becomes like a ridiculous thing. And then we're all playing Blitz, it's like Blitz and CC where you're playing 2 turns only, which sometimes with Zen, that is exactly what's happening. The game's over in a couple turns, a couple other heroes, that's also true. But I think I can commend them for trying to balance this without just resulting to that. And I think that does require some, all right, well, we're going to print some support, but it's going to be, like crazy brewer support. Like, it's not like main deck every time cards are always coming out. This is like, here's an interesting way, like here's a different way of thinking about this hero, which like isn't sexy and not always great, but like we thought all the Tiger cards were bad previously, and now all the Tiger cards are, are they still bad? I can't tell from your face.
They're like kind of played. Some of them are.
I mean,
but it's not.
Some of them are because someone was using a microwave.
I think so. I just heard the microwave on, and then it like froze my internet. I think was what was happening.
What kind of jank internet you got?
Hey, I live in the country, bro.
Waves, bro. It's all waves.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah, but I don't know how much more we want to keep talking about.
No, I think that's about it.
Right. You wanted to talk about Levia making top 8, so I'm going to show the top 8.
That's pretty awesome, right? For Brute Nation. I know we have a lot of Brute fans on the podcast. Blake himself is a Brute fan. That's pretty sick that Levia made top 8 of the Pro Tour. and has kind of been top 8ing a few other events leading up to it.
I like that. Let me look at this list as we're all doing this. I did this the other day and I was like, okay, we got our Dance of Darkness and Grasp of Darkness, so we're gonna do that into Wizards. And then it just seems like not an average list, but it does seem like this person's probably better at playing this. I have Ophidia being in here instead of a Smashback Gilhorn.
That was pretty spicy.
3 snags. I was like, they really must hate playing against new, which makes sense. I haven't played Diabolic Offering, but it looks good. The one time I watched him play it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then we have a few one-ofs, which in my mind, I'm always like, you got to draw those perfectly. And it was... I did watch him play in the 13th or 14th round whenever he was on, and it looked like... Or no. Did he play... No, I'm not making any sense. There was something there, but I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's all working. And then watching that game against Pudding was like, yikes. Like, this is why you can't bring this hero, because there's 90 Zen and you have to be good at this. And like, not only do you have to be good, you have to draw all your good stuff in a row. And then whenever he finally does get some room, if I'm going to make my comeback, the Shadow Realm Horror, the card that's going to save us completely, only finds 1 6 in the graveyard and not 2. And his turn is over, even though he has a pitch, he has a card at hand, he has 2 weapons he hasn't swung, and he also has an arsenal card, and you're like, wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
And Pudding, instead of just taking 7, was like, I'll block and still come at him. It's like, no, just let the damage go through, please. Moral victory.
Yeah, that was pretty rough to watch. I agree with Taylor that it's cool. I was like, hell yeah, good on Kevin for getting Levia all the way to the top 8. And then to see Brute just brute itself, because, you know,
that's how it do.
That's how it is. And like, that's, you know, you cannot separate that from the class. Like, the class has too much built-in randomness that you really can't. So you can't be mad when it happens. It's just kind of disappointing, because the only thing that they controlled was that they decided to do the one thing that relied on it. And, you know, I don't know what else was in his hand that he could have done instead of that. But yeah, that's just how it goes. Like, it's tough when you see that happen, because you're kind of rooting for them because they are an underdog. But, you know, I think in this matchup is when I wrote, like, why do I like it when Pudding does degen shit? He just did it. And I was like, damn, because he's just smiling the whole time. He's having a good time. But yeah, it was cool to see that. Otherwise, looking at this top 8, you're kind of like, gross.
Yeah, 3 and 3. But then these 2 outsiders, one of them does it, you know, makes it the whole time. So it's still a great story. So to kind of move into coverage here is how I'm going to segue this, is I wish there was more coverage for the Calling and the Battle Hardened.
Please.
You know, like, those things are happening and we need to know. Like, all we know is like a Twitter post that what's his face, Charles Dunn, wins the Calling on Zen, you know, and then we know that Alex Vore on turn 2 took 20 minutes and pitched a red to activate Stormstriders and killed Prism in the Living Legend tournament. So Kano's fine, actually, Blake. He doesn't need a bunch of new Majestics. He's winning a format that he's not even in yet, you know, against his freaking
that's what I'm,
bad matchup.
That's what I'm worried they're going to think, and then they don't print good wizard cards for the new heroes either.
It's too late. They've already printed it.
That's true. Yeah, it's
happening.
I think that's a great call out. As we kind of shift into talking about coverage, I think this was one of the great points that Brendan Patrick made. It was just like, get with the time. Like, we've done a good job at like making the production pretty good for these events. Now we need to go to the next level where there's no downtime, at all. Like, it should just be straight content. There should be planned things in between there, we should get updates. Just have someone there be like, hey, this is what's going on. These 3 people are like,
Yes.
undefeated.
I
There was
want
this cool thing, like
live reporting from the calling and the battle hardened.
because they
Why
have
not
somebody
do
there
that?
that's updating the blog. So just have that person come on the stream and say, hey, this is what's just happened over here. Like that was pretty
Totally.
cool. Like
They
I don't know
have
why
that-
that's not happening, because those are cool events with like literally the same people who are, have fallen out of the other events that we're all still excited to hear about. It's like, oh shit, like John Zapata and Alexander Vor are like in the top 8 for the Battle Hardened or whatever. Like that's fucking cool. Like I know those guys. Like
yeah, totally.
they're like part of our extended scene. Well, Alex is, John is in the scene, but anyways, I think that is just what we need to set. It's like, okay, we've done a pretty good job. Like we've done a good job. What's the next level? Let's set our, our sights higher. Let's be better. I had a couple things that I kind of had some feelings about the coverage. One, okay.
Say it.
Like, does anybody else think it's weird that the developers are commentating the game? Like,
Yes.
like not that they can't be a part of it, but I feel like it's so weird because like they talk around these things like, oh, like I don't know. It's just like
it's exactly how dev chat is. Like,
yeah,
oh, the bans, huh? How about that? They banned some cards. No,
as if
you banned
somebody
cards.
else did it. Yeah. It's like you made this. Like there's one moment in the Zen Mirror in the top 8 where Brian says, "Oh, he navigated Zen so beautifully, and he found the power turn." It's just like he didn't find it. He just drew his deck, and it was like, sure, he found it the same way you found like a quarter on the ground. Like it's just like, oh, it's there. Like
his hero power is a tutor.
Yeah, I mean. It's like sure, and there's nuance there, but it just felt it feeds into my like this like they have
like there's nuance there.
There's, I mean there is, but that's just what they always say, so it just sounds like a meme at this point, and I don't like. I think it's just weird, but it feeds into my feeling that it's like they have a monopoly on talking about the game, and I don't trust them because you can't trust a monopoly. We literally have laws against it, so it's like if they're the ones making the thing and then they're the ones telling you how good it is, and then they're the ones reporting back to you about you and your community's experience of it, is a little too much. Like take a step back, dude. Like you already get to make the game. Like let some other people talk about the game and bring their own perspective to it, because you telling me like how you think these things are interesting, it's just like you are so biased. Like I'm sorry, like, and I'm not saying they're bad people at all. Like this isn't like some malicious thing, but like you're so biased that like it's not ethically chill with me that you keep being like half of the commentating crew for these big events. Like, and I don't know. I said it here, so maybe they'll hear me. They probably won't. They don't listen or like us, so it's fine. But it's just it just kind of
apparently, Colin.
It just bugged me because it's just like, okay, Brian, like I guess you like being on TV kind of thing, like right. I'm glad he's having fun, but I would rather see some other people that have like less financial interest in the game's success to like being a part of like the promotion of it. Like this is it's like you don't see that in most other things. Like,
and it makes sense, I think, for them to be on when the pool of people to choose from is smaller, and it's year 2, 3. We're almost in year 5 now. We have a variety of people that can do this job. You just need to invest in them a little bit. It's like, I don't know what it is. And we talk about this game and these peripheral bits a lot, because the game is such a banger. And then these things on the outside are so frayed and like not as tight that it's I think that contrast is glaring, and that's why we talk about it so often. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm ready to talk for like 15 minutes if you want me to just
Get that
get
get that
it
banner
all
up.
out,
Get
get
the banner up.
fucking ready
Let's
to go.
go.
Like I think this has been a thought process for me of like, where do I fit into this community? And it was something of, I want to do some commentary because I am less good at the game slash after 4 hours, my brain kind of goes and I can't play a good 5, 6, 7 rounds. And I also want to bring my personality to it. I want to bring the thought process of like, somebody will go, God, Revel into Runeblood. Oh, you have a second Revel and Runeblood in Arsenal, and now you're about to dump 12 rune chants on somebody with a Rosetta swing afterwards, and you pitch to blue to do 22 damage with that. Oh, that seems super balanced. Like, that isn't how somebody from that company will describe that turn. They'll say, oh my goodness, he put the Revel in his arsenal and waited for the best time. And it's like, are you sure? Are you sure that's what happened? Like yes, I can say the most positive things or I could say the most negative things. But like, is that what they truly feel? And like I'm also somebody that would probably be like, yeah, you're not supposed to talk bad about your own company, but there is kind of like, but the people that do are remembered for years. Like the whistleblowers of the world, the what I'm not saying be a whistleblower, but it is kind of like there's some credence to people who are, but I'm willing to go like, that was a bad set. And like I don't like the idea of if 2 years from now you go, bright lights and heavy hitters and dust till dawn, that was the worst period in our company. I'm glad we got through it when I was there with you holding your hand buying your product, when you were telling me these are the cards that Levia needs to get over the hump. This is the stuff that Reinar is a main character in heavy hitters and was not an afterthought for us. It's like it's all bullshit. And like it's a thing where now the bullshit is I can't have people think that Zen is a brain dead deck. But 90 people brought him to a 14 round tournament because A, he's the best deck to play, because he's the BDIF, but he's also the least mentally taxing hero. But that is not how we're going to frame this in our pro tour, because we want our players to be finesse. We want our players to be pop off. We want our players to be critical in their thinking. And that's something where, in my mind, as I don't play Zen player, I don't play Zen. And whenever I do lose to Zen on a weekly basis or whatever, it does feel like, oh, I got a blue, I transcended, and now I have 6 chain links. And you're just like, okay, well, I don't have an answer to that because I'm not one of 2 classes. And maybe I should put my big boy pants on and play assassin for the rest of my life until Zen's gone. But that also, oh, then Zen sticks around longer or whatever. But that's not how that's going to be framed by those commentators. And that's not going to be like, hey, let's get an interview with, we get an interview with the winners. We never get an interview with like a person who loses who's like angry. And like that's almost more entertaining sometimes, of like it would be kind of refreshing to go, what are you going to do? Zen did his bullshit. I hate this game sometimes. Hopefully I can turn it around, but like not 3 more rounds of Mistveil draft. I'm not looking forward to it. Like I would be like, let's go. I'm following that guy. Like follow them on Twitter. I would be like, that's so sick. And like, I don't know if that's like, well, the energy you bring is a negative to most of the other people, and we just want you to shut up or go away, because some of us do enjoy the Zen. Some of us do enjoy the illusionist or whatever. And you're like, okay, but I need to rotate to where my heroes that I pay money for and enjoy get the power cards and be the best deck in format. And then it's like, well, they are for about 10 minutes, and maybe if you're really lucky, you could win something. And you're like, okay, where's that energy? Like I joke, I want the people who are making the brute cards to be the same people that are making the ninja cards, because they clearly don't give a fuck about balance when it's ninja time. And it seems like for brute time, they are literally docking points off of every part of the card they can. And it's like if you're gonna make it not block for anything, the number has to be higher. Like it doesn't, like the card that I bitched the most about in my entire life, I ended up playing finally because Mechanologist did become good in certain metas, but like Smashing Performance has, if you randomly draw and discard a 6, you can randomly get rid of one of your opponent's items or random item on the field. So it's like, why is there so many hoops to jump through for my shit, but it's on his fucking hero power for Zen? And like I'm sorry for the double F words for the people that are doing this with their babies or whatever, but like it is really
babies don't
frustrating
know F words.
because
Yeah,
I'm
the
not
show is
going to
not for babies.
participate in tier 4 or tier 6 tournaments because I like playing this game for fun and the intricacies of, it's so cool to watch. I'm going to block with my blue 1 damage attack because I have looking for a scrap in my hand right now. And me blocking with that blue 1/0 and taking some damage means I can look for a scrap immediately and swing that. And that was a turn 0 play from one of our new mirrors, assassin mirror, new into Missouri. Breathe a little bit. It was like, that was cool to see that. And I just don't see those decision points for Ninja because we did remove, you don't even have to hit to do your go grab whatever card you want hero power. In Katsu, we had to hit. And there was a whole, holy shit, I have to block this shit out and I have to do it for 55 straight minutes. Zen, as soon as you draw a blue and you have a transcend card, the thing has started, and now I have 1 turn to disrupt you or I'm dead. And like that's something where I can feel the frustration coming, where is every single hero going to get a disruption card? Because every single hero is kind of getting a tunic. You can kind of see that design happening, and we can see there's a brute CNC that was made. Are there other CNCs that are getting made for every other hero to have 1 more card of disruption? But getting rid of Zen's arsenal, he still has 6 cards in hand. And you're like, okay, well, great.
No, I'm going to say one thing, and I'm going to pass it to Taylor, just because this was like another point that Blake brought up too, was when they're like, sure, these heroes are powerful, but these players are also very good, and you're just kind of like, I feel like you're adult lying to a child who doesn't, who thinks they don't understand what they're seeing in front of them. You're like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, yes, if I played this deck against this, if I played this mirror against either of these 2 people, I would get my ass kicked. But also, like, this hero is fucking powerful. Back to Taylor.
I forget what I was going to say. I needed to have written it down. It was in the middle of what Blake was talking about. And it's okay. I think everybody's had some great points. I basically agree with them all. I'm
not doom and gloom currently because I don't have a Zen local to me, to be honest. Like, we are, what's kind of cool about, like, yeah, we have a shitload of news, but like Odyssey never really had a chain during chain big bad 6 months. And it's kind of like
3 prisms.
Yeah, like we all chill and do, like, our meta is kind of whatever. And I guess that's the one that I should actually care about, is what's happening on my Tuesdays. Because like I can practice on my Tuesdays and go get my ass beat at bigger tournaments because I don't know how to play against Zen. Because like when I went to Vegas Battle Harden, I was literally like, hi, you're the worst Zen I've ever played against. And they beat me in less than 15 minutes. And it was like, yeah, I don't know how to play against this, but okay, cool.
I agree that it's not doom and gloom. It's just like, I've said this before on the podcast. It's like you get critical of the things you really love, and that's totally fine. I think this is I like this set, actually. It doesn't
I thought
bother
it was really fun to watch a lot of what I did watch. I don't, whatever the feelings are about, power levels and some heroes being too good, it was just like, since I haven't played as much, I was just like, oh, this is like pretty cool. Like, I don't care as much as the people who are like trying to make a living or whatever they're trying to do as pro players off this. But I mean, I care insofar as like it's a thing that I like to do, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, playing the game, making content about it. So, you know, I just want it to be interesting. And for the most part, I think it was. It is just kind of like exhausting when you feel like the decks that are constantly the best decks are the ones that, you know, are kind of just like, okay, I've drawn better than you and I can just pop off and win this game.
Yeah. I agree with you totally. And I don't know how to combat that. But what I do know is I think one of the inherent problems that regular people have with the game Flesh and Blood is that they have made such a good game with such iconic heroes and playstyles and cards that it is really hard when your iconic hero or cards is what's the word?
Invalidated by Enigma.
Invalidated by something that's new and shiny, or like something comes out and your hero's included, or your class is included, but not really, you know? Those are the hard parts because they've done such a good job at those things that it's hard to know because it's a business how much of a consideration those things are, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's one of the issues with the game that is probably unsolvable.
Because I think one thing, if you live in the national championship where your national champion is Dory Dawnblade 2 years in a row, and you just got gifted Enigma this year, you're like, I could teach somebody how to play Enigma for 2 hours, and they could beat a national champion level Dory Dawnblade, and it's not close. And that is kind of like, well, you got some bad matchups, and it's like, well, who is Zin's bad matchup where we could teach someone in 45 minutes how to play new, and it's that bad of a matchup where the Zin player will get frustrated? Because there's a big difference between what the big deck and formats bad matchup is and what my bad matchup is. And like, I played Icelander into Prism the first time, and that was, you cannot do anything because you cannot break auras. 1/1/1/1/1/1. You're just dead, and I'm gonna block all your arcane too. And you're just like, I don't even want to play this. But like, my bad matchup for like aggro crushes brute is kind of the thought process because it's not as consistent. And instead of just being like, give brute more options to fight against aggro, of like, if you hit me 4 times in one turn, you're gonna piss me off and it's gonna get me a special bellow effect because I'm a berserker next turn. Instead of that, they were like, why don't we just make the brute class who loses to aggro be kind of consistent aggro now? And you're like, hey, that's not why I play this class. And now I look like an idiot because I'm not jumping on the new brute. Or why are you not more grateful for the cards we did give you? And it's like, because you didn't. But now we're talking about old shit. But like, I want the cards. Like what's funny is this used to be called Runeblade and Guardian in my mind, because every Runeblade and Guardian that was good has Living Legend pretty much immediately, and they supported the hell out of those heroes. And now there's a new Runeblade set, and if they put anything close to Rosetta, both of those Runeblades will be extremely good. Viserai will come back. He will be extremely good. Vincent will still be 4th place in a Runeblade, but she'll probably be better than half the heroes currently if they give them a busted weapon. And then Guardian has Mastery Pack coming. So like, Guardians and Runeblades, I think you can always, like, Runeblades have been kind of dire for a couple years now, but like, Runeblades are going to get absolutely fed in Rosetta. It's the wizard half that I'm worried about.
You know, I think, well, hold on.
What the heck?
Oh, that has an interesting flavor. That's right. Hard segue into everybody's favorite segment. What flavor is it? Mist Vale edition. Blake, you've never listened to our podcast, and now you've been on for the first time. Welcome to a quiz show about flavor text that I made. You and Colin will be competing against each other for my approval
Great.
and that of the audience.
Let's
So,
go.
How it works here is I have 10 questions, and they're all related to flavor text, and you both will do your best to answer them, and I'm going to keep a tally, and whoever has the most points at the end wins.
I'm going to
Fair.
not show my hands just so I can Google if I need to.
No Googling. Please close all browsers. I will hear your keyboards.
That's true. My keyboard is very loud.
It is. I can hear it. Which is fine. That's like what a podcast is hearing people's keyboards. Question number 1. Quote, fingers trace the tide's sway. My chi ignites with desire. Passion within. Miku. Is this card A, Tide Chakra, B, Art of Desire, C, Mind's Desire?
Boop-a-boop.
You both get an answer, so it's totally fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not first.
I think it's Tide Chakra.
I think it's A.
A, Tide Chakra is correct. Well
Let's
done.
go!
1 point for both of you. This is the warm-up, and this gets increasingly hard as we go.
Great. That's the only card I know.
Perfect.
I was actually doing the chakra too.
I saw that. That's not how you do it, but that's fine. Yeah,
is
it's
it
like,
the
it's like
the Gen Z heart where it's hard to do, but
it's like
that's how
fingers
you know
like
I'm
this
old?
facing down. Okay. Question 2. How many illusionist cards have flavor text? Is it A, 4, B, 3, C, 2, or D, 0? Illusionist cards. Oh, Blake.
2.
Blake says 2. Colin?
The choices are 0, 2, 3, and 4. Is that right?
Correct. And Blake has chosen 2. Yeah, it's tough, huh? Colin's a vet at this game, though. He's played it multiple times. I haven't done it in a few sets.
3. I'm going 3.
3. The correct answer is 0.
Damn it, I was gonna
D,
say
0. No points for you on question 2.
The real illusion is that LSS doesn't actually care about lore.
Well, question 3. Is the following quote from Zen from a card of either A, Mystic Ninja card, B, Ninja card, or C, generic card? I will now read you the flavor text. Quote, 2 paths beckon one, disciplined. Under the seething sun, the other, unleashed fury, a beast unchained. Zen. Now you get bonus points if you know what this card is. So is that a Mystic Ninja card, a Ninja card, or a generic card?
That is a boop, boop, boop.
Blake.
Ninja card.
Okay.
I was also going to say Ninja card.
Ding, ding, ding. You are both correct. Do you know what card that is in the set Mistvale? Part the Mistvale. Blake is literally looking at a pile of ninja cards on his desk right now without trying to touch them. Colin is doing the exact same thing. I can tell.
No, I don't have any on my desk.
Is it? It's not aspect of tiger, body, mind, soul, is it?
Incorrect. This is for bonus points.
Mauling Key.
Nope. It is the card Untamed. Untamed.
Oh wow.
I just named a card I knew. Is
That was
that in
great.
the set?
Kind of.
You sure?
Is it not?
It's in the draft set.
It is. It is. Okay. This
That's
one's
the
pretty tough.
same set.
2-part question.
Hmm.
Can you guess the blank in the person's title and identify who said the following? Quote, I must confer with the guardians of these lands. The encroaching darkness is but a prelude. The winds dare not murmur of what follows. Was it A, Donlu, blank is the thing you have to figure out. Oh, excuse me. It's Donlu Katori, blank. That's That's the part you got to figure out. B, Ning Katori blank. Or C, Anhi Katori blank. So you got to figure out which one it is and what the blank is. So it's 2 points. Blake.
C, Anhi, because it's one letter away from on hit.
Tight. Okay, C. Got it. Do you know what the blank is?
Tiger.
Okay, perfect. Anhi Katori Tiger is Blake's answer for C.
What was the first two?
Donlu Katori blank or Ning Katori blank.
I'm gonna go Don Lu because I knew a guy named Donnie Lu.
Tight.
and the blank will be Mystic Master.
Colin, you are correct with A. It is Donlu Katori.
Hey, Donnie!
Gale Warden. It mentions winds. These are the emissaries. So it's Ning Katori Moonseeker and Anhi Katori Wavebender, the emissary card set.
Oh, of course.
Wavebender.
Yeah, Wavebender.
Wavebender.
Okay, you guys are doing awesome. I'm having a ton of fun. Colin is in the lead with 3 points to Blake's 2, but things could change here.
This one's double.
Question 5. Name the card the following appears on. Quote, awaken the tempest within, let chaos reign, and ride the wild tide of your unleashed spirit. Shio. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bunch of cards here. Is it A, Tidal Surge, B, Second Tenet of Chi, Tide, C, First Tenet of Chi, Tide, D, Rising Tide, E, Drop in the Ocean, F, Waves of Aquamarine, G, Water the Seeds, or H, Mistcloak Gully?
Or I, all of the above.
Oh, I should have put that in there. That'd be funny. You want me to read all of that again?
No, it's C. It's C.
Okay, Blake says C. He knows right away.
What was the first one?
Name the card the following appears on.
No,
Quote,
the first card
awaken
name.
the tempest within, let chaos reign, and ride the wild tide of your unleashed spirit.
Yeah.
Shio. A, Tidal Surge. B, Second Tenet of Chi, Tide. C, First Tenet of Chi, Tide. D, Rising Tide. E, A Drop in the Ocean. F, Waves of Aquamarine. G, Water the Seeds. H, Mistcloak Gully.
I just
One more
wanted to know
time.
what the first one was.
A, Tidal Surge. B, Second Tenet of
Please,
Chi,
God,
Tide.
Stop. Oh my
C,
God. I'm going to
First
remove
Tenet
him. I'm
C.
going to remove him.
Tide. Rising Tide. A Drop in the Ocean. Waves of
All
Aquamarine.
right.
Water the Seeds.
I'm going to
Mistcloak
do
Gully.
B, the second tenet of Chi, wind or whatever.
Ding, ding, ding. Colin, you are correct. It is
Dude, I
Second
know.
Tenet of Chi, Tide. Sorry,
Thank
Blake.
you.
I was so close.
You
You
were
were
one
so-
off in both number and letters.
Pretty good, though. I was like, oh, yeah, everything's water. Anyway, everybody knows that. Okay, here we go. Final 5 questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, that's good.
These are all true or false. Okay.
Oh, okay.
you
That's way
may
easier.
only answer with true or false.
Colin,
Are you
should we
ready?
always pick opposites so it's funner? Because you could just close me out right now by just picking the same.
Or you could make a great comeback in Colin's face
Yeah.
and close him out. Number 6, true or false? Wounding Blow has reminder text. I like it that Blake does sign language poorly.
True.
Okay. Blake,
False.
that is correct. False. There is no reminder text. True or false? Wounding Blow has flavor text.
True.
False. It was true back in the day, but they removed it for this set.
Colin, that is true.
What? They don't
True
have
or
this.
false?
Did they put different flavor text on it?
True or false? The flavor text on Wounding Blow is a quote from Bertrand the Brave.
True.
True. Bloody. False. False.
Those are both false. Blake, I'm going to give it to you.
Let's go.
4 to 5. True or false? The flavor text alludes to the set Uprising.
False.
False.
True. Shit. Okay. Anybody? Blake, you could tie it up. Colin, you could seal the deal here. Number 10. True or false? This is the flavor text on Wounding Blow. Excuse me. Quote, farmhands, villagers, and slaves. The Volkai have long suffered at the hands of their masters.
True.
I had to say false to see and win, but it's true. I know it's true.
Colin, you are this flavor. What flavor is it? Champion. It is
Flavor of the
true.
month,
That is the exact
baby.
text on Wounded Blow from the set. Part the Mist Veil. Great job, everybody. Thank you for playing. I hope you had fun at home. Blake?
Woo!
Okay. We all have lost. Not me, because I always make these. Colin, congratulations. What will you do with your victory?
Shove it in Blake's face for like 6 months at least.
Wow.
Till we do this again.
Yeah, that's something I always wish I was better at in Fab is the flavor text remembering.
The best part of this is that I've barely looked at these cards. I have played only like one of the decks, and I was just guessing purely off of vibes and context clues. So, you know,
Legitimately, if you want someone to look at you sideways, read your flavor text the next time you play the card against them. Because I think I was doing that at Hype House, right? You guys remember that?
I don't remember that.
yeah.
I would be like, because the one I remember, because it's in my head so much, is I'll swing big, and it goes, in the Savage Lands, politics are simple. Those who have the biggest stick have the biggest sway, or something. And people look at you being like, "How? What? Did you just make that up?" And you're like, "I'm reading the card. It explains the card."
There you go. Pro tip. Anyway, that's our show. Thanks for being here, everybody. If you appreciate what we do, please like, subscribe, join us on Patreon. You can hang out in our Discord, where it's an elite group of super cool people that are elite, and they pop off critically most of the time. So you don't
Some
want
of
to
them
miss.
even played in Pro Tour this time.
They did. Exactly.
That's true. They're also just a nice group of people to hang out with that generally are optimistic and have good takes on things. So come hang out.
One final shout out. I am so sad Chris Alley got 9th. I don't know how I didn't express this earlier, but I was rooting for him.
Yeah,
and to
good call.
see him get the worst spot possible in my mind. Everyone else is like, it's still an amazing run. It's like, it's literally the worst spot I think you could possibly get.
No,
But I'm choking.
O2 drop is the worst spot. Getting 9th, he's a good player. He did well. He's got a little, unfortunate. But yeah, hell yeah!
I'd
Shout
be
out
crying.
to Chris
I would
Alley.
cry. I would cry so much.
I feel like he probably just laughed about it later, which is why he's a good player. I think because he can handle that shit, and we can't.
Truly, I would be so fucking stoked to not have to play top 8. Be like, I did it. I made 9th. I get Sunday off. That would be great.
That killer instinct is why we love you, Taylor.
It's how you get 47th at a calling.
Second best Arachne. Let's go.
Now the best Arachne. Shout out to Brian Delatorre. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.